Yeah, you talked about this earlier too. You spoke on it at the beginning when you said this is pretty much the one world totalitarian government that they're seeking, right? Because the United States is full of entrepreneurs and people who don't depend on government. So what they're doing here is they're using welfare as a magnet because it encourages government dependency, and that's what these illegals are coming over here for. Like the majority of them, they're not fleeing war and genocide. They're just looking for better handouts. I mean, think about some of the countries that they're coming from. That's all they know is, dependence upon government for food, for shelter, for education, for healthcare, all those things. They're used to that. So they figure if those people come over here, they're going to vote for the same policies that they're fleeing because they think it's better over here in the United States. They don't understand our values and our principles here, right? Most people here want to live that American dream, like start their own business or whatever it is. But nobody here, I'm willing to bet, would say, yeah, I would prefer that the government spend my money for me and provide all these things versus, man, I would love to provide for myself and excel and move up the ladder. See, we all have a ladder of opportunity here, but when you bring over all these people from these other countries, they don't pay into our system. We have finite resources, so it's like they're draining our system, and they've convinced everyone here. I don't know how they convinced black people to do this, but they have convinced us to vote against our own self-interest. Right? These people are coming into the inner city, displacing us, while the liberals are moving into the inner city, gentrifying it, driving up the cost of living. So it effectively disenfranchises black people further. But they're so manipulative over there. That's how they get people to shame us, shame conservatives, shame us for, wanting to protect the sovereignty of our country. And then they talk about it like it's just happening here. Like, oh, Donald Trump with his racist white base, that's the only reason he won is because he talked about brown people coming here and it just ignited all the white voters. That is such a lie. I mean, people don't pay attention to global politics. This is not just happening here. There's a nationalist backlash across the world. Did you guys know Sweden is like the rape capital because they've been so generous to illegals, bringing people over. You see what's happening in all the rest of Europe, South Korea, Brazil, Australia. They're all having issues with illegal immigration. And now you're starting to see that nationalist backlash where people are like, no, we need to shut down our borders. We need to secure our nation. We need to take care of our citizens first. So United States, we're actually late to the party because it's been going on in Europe. Brexit happened, Italy, Germany. Like I've been keeping up with all these other countries, and I'm like, we're not all that different from these other countries in terms of how we're responding to illegal immigration, or even if some of it's legal. Like I know in Europe, they're bringing people over from the Middle East, and they're just crossing the Mediterranean on ships, and they're going into the ports of Italy, Spain, Greece, and it's causing a bunch of problems in Europe. So the countries are trying to bring them in, but the citizens are backlashing against it. And that's why you're seeing basically Donald Trump's being elected around the world because everyone sees what's going on.
It made me feel like the Illuminati was real when I started seeing it was all over the world. I was like, oh my goodness. They're bringing these illegals over everywhere.
Yeah, it's for real. It is absolutely real. It's no longer like tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. This is real. This is actually happening. And it's happening America. America just represents like the last stronghold against it. I think if we can, and they're trying to impeach our president, and I tell you what, if they are successful, look out, because once that socialism train starts, it is hard to move away from it.
Not saying he's going to be
that's textbook. I just coming in this real fast. That's textbook way of how to destabilize a country, though, because they're also bringing people that are going to clash multiculturalism. So a lot of people get multiculturalism and diversity collapse, right? You can have different races, different cultures in one area, but as long as you have the same values, you'll be fine. But with the multiculturalism, people with different cultures, they have different values. They're going to come into society. You can't expect them to change, and go by our values and our principles and stuff. So there's going to be a clash and there's going to be a war. So this is just a way, talk about the Illuminati being real. I believe it is, or the elites, or whatever you want to call it. leads, the New World Order, all that stuff, whatever name you want to give it, Israel. But this is what they want to do. They've been able to, all these countries that are war torn and everything, they used to be good countries at once, Venezuela. I have a friend from Panama, and she said that when she was younger, her mom used to be able to drive from the United States to Panama. Imagine that, right? But before all this corruption stuff, all this destabilization happened, this is just a way to, because when the people are destabilized and they're fighting against each other, it's part of the Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. So they create the problem, we're fighting each other, we're killing each other, where our resources are depleting, and then they can come in and they can fix it their way and have control over us their way. Right. So yeah, you're right, Mike. I think the U.S. is the last stronghold, and that's why this is so important. People look up to us, kind of like a big brother too.
Well, I want to talk about the welfare system. He mentioned about the welfare and the illegal immigrants and welfare. What they do in Los Angeles, okay? Because they are coming over here because their families, our ancestors paid into that Social Security and into the government, okay? Our prior ancestors paid into that. So these people come from another country. They're getting Social Security. Puerto Ricans and Hispanics were getting Social Security benefits because they couldn't speak English. Okay, I sent you the link on that. Yeah, because they couldn't speak English, that was considered a disability, and they were able to get Social Security benefits. Okay, then we had the Russians. They were Nazis that come from Germany, Nazis that were also able to get Social Security benefits. That was considered a Nazi was considered a disability. So we have these people that have come over to the United States that haven't paid. Nazis didn't pay a dime into the United States. Okay, we fought them in war. So why are they getting our Social Security benefits? Armenians are coming over here getting Social Security benefits. And the Hispanics, they take the welfare benefits. The wife gets the welfare benefits, and of course they have 3, 4, 5 babies at one time. Okay, so they getting welfare benefits for that, and then the husband, he getting paid up under the table as she getting welfare benefits, and they live in like 10 to 22 apartment. Okay, so she getting the money up under the table for the welfare, and then they take that money and they open up a food truck. They start off with a little food cart. They go buy the hot dogs or whatever they make, and the peppers and the onions and the buns, and they get their salsa or whatever, and they sell it right on the corner wherever they want to set up shop. And then they got their fruit stands where they sell the fruit, and they taking welfare benefit money that they're getting from the American government made for the American people, and using that to their benefit. And then what they do, they take that money and then they send that money back to Mexico to their family members. Okay, so what is staying in the United States? That's what they're abusing the welfare system and the Social Security system and the medical system, because the American people, our ancestors paid into that for us, for American children and their grandchildren, not for people that have come from another country that haven't paid into the system at all. That wasn't made for that.
And remittances is, I think, number 2 import or export in Mexico. Remittances is when they send the money back. So that import, it's like number 2. I forgot what number 1 is. But I think. I want to say billions of dollars, but it's
billions.
Billions?
Yes, billions of dollars
per year.
They send back to their families, and then they wonder why we broke. If every country, we got people from all over the United States, from all over the world, and everybody send their money, whatever money they make in the United States, they send it back to their country. What's left for the United States? And then they doing it under the table. They ain't paying taxes because they're not legal. So where that leave us? Broke. Okay, and it's a form of eugenics. It's called eugenics theory, and I found this in my pharmaceutical research. And basically what it is when other countries come into another country, they buy up all that country's socio-economical resources like food, water, housing. Then they infiltrate their political system to take over their government. Okay, and that's called eugenics theory. Once you do all of that, it hinders the country, hinders the people, and then they can take control. That's what it's called, eugenics theory, and that was put in place by Adolf Hitler, okay, and a couple other ones. That's what they're doing here in the United States. I found this back in 2014 during the Obama administration until I figured out that he was part of it. Okay, he was part of this because he's Muslim. Obama's from Kenya. He is not a Black American man. Huh?
You talking too much.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mo, if you don't mute your mic, I'm coming to Wisconsin, okay, and mute it for you, please. We've been sending you messages. We've been texting you.
I swear, we've been texting you. We've been.
Thank you.
I even put a little note and a little bird to send over to West. I'm just playing. But yeah, we good now, man.
All right. Anybody else want to speak on that? Gentrification. We're the subject that we kind of veered off a little bit. But we're on gentrification, homelessness, infiltrating government, systematic takeover of America, sleeper cells. Anybody want to speak on that? No. No. Okay, we can go to the next.
I'll say something on this. Okay, I'll say something about it. Okay, because it's just simple. It's just like this. We have people in the United States that we don't know, like what he said, Mike said, we don't know where these people come from. We don't know what their background is. We don't know what they did in their country. We don't know who they killed or they robbed a bank. We don't know who these people are. And, you know, we see where these other third world countries that they don't mind, you know, killing themselves and blowing up their kids. And just like recently with the Muslim guy that was training the American children to shoot up the schools. He was Muslim. Okay, so we don't do that here in the United States, but we have these type of people living here inside of the United States, which is a danger to all the American people because we don't know, you know, if these people are safe, and the government don't know who these people are either, because, you know, we have people here, you know, they're using dead people's social security numbers. Okay, you know, they're using our ID, so we don't know who is in the United States, and these people are dangerous. And yes, they can, you know, ISIS could be here, terrorists could be here, and we wouldn't even know who these people are that could strike us at any given moment because we have just let all these people into the United States or they snuck in here. So, you know, the sleeper cells, yeah, they're real. We just got to watch our back.
Has anybody seen that video? I forgot who did it, but they were going around. It was like in Ohio, and they were going around asking people that were Muslims, like, what did they think about America, and would they want Sharia law implemented here? And they're like, "Do you like America? Or do you like your own country?" Like, I like my own country, and they're in Ohio. They're like, "Do you want a Sharia law, or like, do you like the American, you know, Constitution?" They're like, "No, Sharia law. Sharia law is good." Yeah. I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I seen like in Michigan, there's a whole bunch of them over there, and I seen a couple videos. This guy, his name is Nabil, and he was a Muslim, and he became Christian, and they went to the Arab festival in Dearborn, and they were trying to hand out pamphlets to people. So about God, Christian, you know, pamphlet, and they were surrounded, and they started throwing rocks at them. Like, it was almost a riot. And then another time they got arrested when they went, and the Dearborn police arrested them, and all they were doing was trying to talk to people. They weren't doing anything wrong. And he had it on camera, and he was like, "This is America. This is what they're doing to America. We have free speech." Because they don't like cameras, because the Muslims, they don't like to be on camera for some reason. And so they had a huge crowd. Like, it was dangerous for them. Like, and that's not okay in Dearborn, Michigan. And now they're trying to get someone elected in Congress that's Muslim. And if they're going to be doing things like that, they're going to be running Christians out of their own cities. No, you can't come over here. Sorry. Muslim, you know what? If Muslims, they can go to Muslim countries. Like, if they really feel like they need to leave, why don't you guys go be refugees in a Muslim country where your culture matches better? Not if you're going to be over here kicking Christians out of public events.
Wow. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Right. No, that's a good point. You make a good point with how they are going to countries where they're not going to assimilate, right? There's certain things that are okay under Sharia law, but would never be okay in the United States, like how they treat women, how they treat gays, the way that they treat women specifically. I find it really funny that you have this like fourth wave feminism over here, and that chick, Linda Sarsour or whatever, that's the biggest hypocrite I've ever seen in my life. She advocates for Sharia law, but then she also gets to claim that she's a feminist. You know, the way that they treat people, this doesn't even coincide. Like it cannot mix with Western culture.
The liberal feminists, they like run to the polls to vote for these people.
Right. And that's why I think it's so important that more people speak out against it, because Donald Trump, when he started talking about it, he represented a growing number of people who felt that same way. He was just the voice for that. He was just the mouthpiece for what so many people felt. But then they're like, oh no, you're Islamophobe, you're racist, you're Islamophobe. It's like, but so many people feel that same way. They're concerned about
I'm an Islamophobe. Go ahead and call me that. I am.
Right.
Yeah, I am too. I'm allowed to.
You rather be alive Islamophobe than a dead right?
Come blow me up. Okay, come blow me and my family up. But there's a girl on Facebook. She is from Iran. She's from that country, and she's been doing videos to alert the American people. Her name is Annie Cyrus, and she is alerting the American people what her people are over here in the United States doing. And she's not the first one that I have encountered, because I used to live in Florida. I used to live in Palm Beach. And I ran across a lot of people from Iran, Afghanistan, and they don't have any papers either, but they basically, say, they're here to implement Sharia law, and that's it. They will never assimilate to American culture, nothing. And if they go against Muhammad, they are killed. And they have people inside of the United States making sure that they are following the Quran and what they are set out here in the United States to do. And if they don't, they are killed. They got people, watching them right now, because I met a lady, her son is from Iran, and he did some stuff over here in the United States, and she was afraid for her life. Her husband was in Saudi Arabia, but he was watching her, and if she did not follow the Quran, they would send somebody to kill her and her son. So it's serious. When you see a Muslim, they are only here to implement Sharia law, and that's it. And they practice the Quran, and they tell me the Quran is the devil. Okay, so they can, trust the Muslims if they want to. It's disrespectful. They don't even speak English. Y'all see that gentleman in Minnesota that just run the primary, and he wouldn't even speak in English. And he had a whole room full of Muslims supporting him.